You're listening to the Let's Go Buffalo podcast, your new favorite podcast for everything Bills and Sabres. Oh, what's going on? You're listening to the Let's Go Buffalo podcast, your favorite podcast for all things Bills and Sabres with the pals, Nigel, Tom, and Jake. Episode 82 coming at y'all today. Quick reminder, you know the drill. Follow the socials. You can find us on all of them with the handle at Let's Go Buff Pod. That's Buff with 2 F's. If you're finding us on YouTube, please hit that like button, drop a comment, do something, even if it's mean. And let's get around here and say hello to the fellas. Tommy, what's going on, brother?
Is this thing on?
Seems to
This
be.
thing still works?
I had to get the dust off of mine, dude. It was a little bit dirty.
My hibernation was lovely. How was your hibernation?
It's been fantastic, dude. Just getting used to a slightly new normal and yeah, dude, it's been great.
Nice, dude. Nice. I'm so happy to be back on the old mic with you boys.
Yeah,
Here we go.
It's Mr. Torpedo. What's going on?
Yeah, me too. I've been slumbering, but it's good to be back. We got some draft things to throw around and NHL playoffs going on. It's a fun time of year.
Yeah,
Sun is shining. The birds are tweeting. Here we go.
Tom is emerging from his cave.
Yes.
It's time to shed your whatever, Tom. Shall we have a beer, guys?
Yeah. Please start there.
Here we go. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Nice one. Cheers, fellas.
What are you drinking, Nige?
Man, so one of the since we've podcasted last, I have a new job, which is great. I'm slinging beers and nice coffee drinks at a cool spot down here in Nashville called Living Waters. But one of the great things about working at a brewery is if you sell beer to go, you probably have a canning or bottling line that you use to package your goods. And those bottling and canning lines don't work with a 100% level of accuracy. And sometimes the cans are just a little bit short and you can't sell them to people. And guess who gets them? I get them. So I'm back to drinking very free, very delicious craft beer in my day-to-day, which has been great. So I am drinking my one of my favorites over there, the Highgates. We got some. It's like a Yeti guy with a coffee on him. It's pretty cool artwork there. So it's a New England IPA. So delish.
Oh yeah, you threw me off. I thought it was gonna be a coffee beer.
No coffee beer. No, I've never really been like a coffee stout fan unless it's on nitro. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big dark beer / stout guy, period. But I do like a nice nitro stout.
Everything good over there?
I'm not used to this.
Jake, what are you drinking?
I'm not used to this. I gotta remind myself to shut up. I have a sour ale, and it's inspired by Pink Starburst. So I'm intrigued to see how this one tastes.
Starburst. Whoa.
Yeah, it's from a Rochester brewery, Stoneyard. My mom brought these up for me a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Stoneyard.
We'll see if it tastes like Starburst.
Man, that looks like it's going to be too sweet. You just took a sip. Is it sweet?
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
It's very sweet.
That sounds,
I can imagine.
Incredibly sweet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy, what do you got?
I'm drinking an Athletic beer. Athletic Brewing Company, Free Wave, the hazy IPA. I'm starting a little bit of a 45-day today till Father's Day little health stint, just to try and Jake and I have just recently ran a half marathon, actually this past weekend, so we got to hang out, got to spend some time together, which was always as lovely as you might imagine. I'll leave that to your imagination. And but like, we're prepped and planned. We have big goals this fall. We're running a full marathon. So to set myself up to like actually set this as a goal that is achievable, I'm trying to like launch myself into summer with some good steps. So I'm going to be doing some athletic brewing for the next couple of weeks here.
Is that just Father's Day, and then he said, "Daddy."
Is that just an NA beer? Is that what that is?
Yeah, it's an NA beer. Yep.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
Yep.
Sweet, dude. Good for you. I'm proud of you guys both for doing that. Fun fact, I once was supposed to do a running venture with these guys, and I
Supposed to
fully,
is like a really strong word for that.
yeah, well, yeah, I bailed out pretty early. I literally just did. I think I went on like 2 runs to try and prep, and then that was all the prep that I did. And then the next thing I knew, it was like very, very, very close. And I said, "Hey guys, I don't think I'm gonna make it."
Well, pal, the
So-
door is always open. The door is always open. I will know. I'm not going to push you out the door, but
Yeah. And you know what? I'm gonna be honest. I just don't see myself ever walking through it either. So, but I appreciate the fact that you guys have left it open. All right, boys. What do you say? Should we get into some of the meat here?
yeah, some
Yeah.
big Buffalo Bills news this past weekend, right?
Well, the NFL draft took place.
That's
Tom?
that's fairly big. That's fairly
Yeah,
large.
kind of a
Yeah,
big
that's
deal.
of
And-
large sizes.
And we have some new players, Tom. You want to start
Yeah.
to lead us down that path
Yeah,
to
dude.
discuss
And I
these
just
fine
like
fellas?
we're gonna meander down this path. We're not gonna have a guide. We're not gonna have a set directions or a compass. But I want to just kind of open this up and let's just talk through what's the player that excites you. Like out of the draft class, who excites you? I'm sure as we go, I have a couple different questions that I'm hoping for us to catch most player names here and kind of situations and all different things. So, both of you guys, is there anybody? Yeah, Jake, hit me with your first. Who's the player that's like, okay, let's see what happens here.
I'll take the low hanging fruit. I'm not going to give you a player name, but the more overarching thought, the emphasis on the D line that we talked about beforehand was actualized by the picks that we saw. I think 3 big D linemen got picked. So I think the emphasis on that side of the ball, when we know we have a good offense, we know we can put up points. It really was the defense that needed to be focused on and improved. And I think they did a great job addressing those needs throughout the rounds of the draft. So yeah, like I said, not naming a player, I'll let you guys pick apart each individual player, but just kind of seeing, like, it's cool that what we are identifying as this is something that this team should be going for is happening with the team, and we all hope it'll lead to good results in the fall.
It is very vindicating or affirming when you feel like something should happen and the team does it, or you like
Very
predict
nice.
a certain signing or something like that. It's that's always a fun little moment there for sure.
Okay. Hey, we're also smart.
Yeah, we know things sometimes. Should I go next, Tom?
Have at it.
I think the one that I'm the most excited about is Landon Jackson, the defensive end that we took with our 3rd pick. And the main reason there is the size. His size is, I mean, he's huge. He's 6'6", almost 270. So he's a big guy, more of like a compression style player, I would say, which is like the more typical Bills defensive end mold. But also an off the charts, a really solid athlete too. Sorry, I was thinking of TJ Sanders. I don't think Landon Jackson's RAS score was quite as high as TJ Sanders. If you can double check that for me, maybe Tom. But yeah, dude, I just I wasn't too familiar with this guy going into the draft, but since then I've gotten my hand on whatever I can for most of these players, not all of them yet, truly, but yeah, dude, I just really like his play. I mean, I'm blanking on the name of the offensive tackle that was drafted first, but there's a decent amount of film of Landon Jackson just absolutely dummying this guy with a really nice diverse move set to rush the passer. So I'm very excited about him and what he can do with a little bit of NFL coaching for sure.
Yeah, so Landon Jackson had a RS score of 9.88.
Okay, so
Out of
his was
10.
still insanely high. Yeah.
So freaking phenomenal. And TJ Sanders is,
Almost the same, I thought.
this one says 8.55, but that sounds
Okay.
lower than what I was hearing.
So maybe I got him mixed up then. Maybe I was thinking that TJ was the super high one and Landon was the opposite, but I got that reversed.
Yeah.
That
I'm
could
seeing
just be
different
what.
things. What is that?
It's still,
Yeah.
I mean, 8 is still unbelievable.
I'm seeing 9.3. 9.3. I'm seeing 9.3. That's the correct one. I'm not
For
sure what
TJ?
else I was looking at. Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
correct
okay.
one.
So I'm not crazy
yeah.
then.
We've added some athletes. I think to kind of sew your two ideas together. This added emphasis on defense is exactly what this Bills roster needed. And holy cannoli, did we add some freaking like athletes we added some motors. And I think this is a fair statement that Sean McDermott and the Bills defenses that have been fielded over the last 5 to 7 years have been tremendous despite some not top of the charts athletes. Right. We have very strong. We have a great scheme. The players, they're incredibly smart. They know the scheme and they're good in the situations that the coaches put them in. But I think there's only been a handful of players that have been like, wow, this guy is just a freak and he's going to win because he's better. They won because they could play better together and they knew it was happening and they were phenomenal in that way. I'm excited. Let's continue to just pump Sean McDermott, who's this coach who's clearly had successful defenses in the past. Sean McDermott and Bobby Babich, like let's give him some horses. And we did that.
Yeah, dude. And I think, we just talked about Landon Jackson and TJ Sanders, one being a defensive end, Landon Jackson, one being TJ, or the other being defensive tackle and TJ Sanders. And I want to come back to TJ Sanders for a minute, but to touch on that insane athleticism, you got to talk about our first round pick, in Maxwell Hairston there. And I think exactly what you just touched on, Tom. It's fun to have an insane athlete like that because we have been saying like when we talk about the Dolphins, right? It's like, we don't have anybody that's even close to keeping up with the Tyreek Hills.
Right.
The Jalen Waddles of the world. And that's not the case anymore with Maxwell Hairston. Maxwell Hairston is, we're talking a guy with sub 4.3 40. I think it was a 4.28. He ran for a 40-yard dash.
Fastest in the draft.
Fastest one this year.
Either side of the ball.
Yeah. So the kid's got he's a burner, dude. Great ball skills. The reason he wasn't on my radar for the Bills is because the best way to describe, I think, Maxwell Hairston is he's a dog, dude. He's a hunter, right? Like he wants to stick his fan in the face and get up in the mix and mix it up with the guys on offense. And sometimes that aggression, while I think a lot of the time it's great, gets him into some trouble. And I think he lacks some discipline. And a cornerback that lacks discipline, to me, doesn't scream a McBean player, right? So he wasn't on my radar as somebody the Bills were going to go for. I was positive we were taking Trey Amos.
Yeah,
with
that was
30.
the name I was waiting for too.
Yeah, that was with the way the board fell, and Kenneth Grant going to Miami so much earlier than everybody thought. Like
so much earlier. Yeah.
That everything just got wonky, and the only thing left were defense or like cornerbacks.
Yeah.
But Hairston wasn't on my list because sometimes he just gets himself a little ways out of position. But he's definitely fun, dude. He's a fun defensive back. The ball skills are also off the charts, which is he's a big play machine.
And I think just like name me a couple CB2s of the last 5 to 7 years, guys. Just throw out some names. Who's played cornerback 2 for this Buffalo Bills defense?
Oh, dude, Levi Wallace. Who's the Dane Jackson? Like some really, really, really low level athletes.
Just like, hey, we're gonna tape you back together and we're plugging a hole. We're hoping that this doesn't fucking come to bite us. And
sure,
things have to progress, right? We have to see this rookie come in. We've drafted a cornerback in the first round and seen it completely just fizzle and not even any close to a successful pick. I hope to God that Maxwell Hairston has all the success in the world and becomes a dominant force here in Buffalo. And I think these guys have an opportunity, Christian Benford and Maxwell Hairston, of being the best cornerback duo that Sean McDermott's ever coached. Right?
Yeah,
very easily.
Buffalo.
Yeah. And I'd like to say, because just from what I know about him, his time in Carolina, like I think it was always kind of doing this, like, hey, we're gonna figure it out at quarterback too, and which, to be honest, I thought they were gonna do this year. Going into the draft, haven't talked about this yet. Tre'Davious White was signed to a $2.2 million deal or something like that, max of up to 6.8, based on other incentives and playing time. And there was some time in our little chat thread that we were like, is this the solution? Right? Yeah. Did they bring in Dane Jackson and Trey White? Like, and it sounds like a very Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott, like, hey, you know what? We're gonna take players we know who know our system, and we're gonna make it work. And to be honest with you, they probably would have been okay. You think even less than okay?
I do think less than okay. Those are, I mean, dude, Trey White's film last year was bad. Is really bad, and Dane Jackson's wasn't a whole lot better. That would have made me super, super nervous. And I know we've done it in the past, but
yeah,
like
right, you can't fill every hole. So I don't know. I was expecting a moderate, possible solution or a draft resource used to fill a, hey, let's put another kid in the ring and see what happens at CB2. But Maxwell Hairston taken in the first, right at pick 30 this is expected to be a solution, a long-term solution.
Yeah, and you've got the backups just in case he doesn't pan out, right? You've still got your Dane Jackson and Trey White if he's just simply not ready. But I mean, you really, 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 really want him to. I think that's the most exciting option, and probably, I mean, athletically, certainly the best option for the Bills. But a big piece of cornerback is what's going on between the ears, right? And so
thankfully, that's the thing you can coach, right? You can coach that.
You can coach that. And Trey White, that's a great reason to have Trey White. Like that guy's, I mean, he's never been a top tier athlete. His whole thing is how cerebral and brilliant he is as a football player. So I think that's huge.
If he has time to break away from his goalie camp over at the Sabres, like I hope he has time to spend with these young players,
You better carve out a lot of time this summer.
Yeah, and another just kind of like fun little tidbit for Hairston is last year he played at Kentucky with Ray Davis, so he's got a connection.
And Deion Walker, who was drafted in round 4.
Right, correct. So he's got some guys in the in the system and in the building that he'll know and hopefully help him get settled and help him keep his let's figure this out. How do you be an NFL player now, and how do you be super successful? So
yeah, for sure. I want to. Go ahead, Tom. Go ahead.
I was getting ready to pivot. Were you have one last thought here, or do you want to?
There's two
pivot
things
away.
Where were you going to pivot to? Just real quick.
I was going to pivot to TJ Sanders.
Oh, perfect. That's where I'm pivoting as well.
Hey, arm in arm. Here we go. Pivot away. We're really high and excellent quality podcast hosts here, folks.
Yeah. We definitely episode 82. We definitely know what we're doing. TJ Sanders, I'm not sure the defensive tackle that people were necessarily hoping for. I think if it wasn't going to be like a Kenneth Grant type player, I think people were hoping for more of like a space eating one tech, which I think is a ludicrous thing for people to not hope for or wish for, but expect from Brandon Beane, who has a mile-long resume of never drafting a player like that and only drafting, defensive tackles, whether he's looking for 3 tech or 1 tech, or doesn't really seem to matter, betting or looking more for athleticism as opposed to just like a massive fire hydrant, right? And that's what you're getting here with TJ Sanders. You're getting, a guy that it sounds like Brandon Beane wants to play 3 tech, but could be a 1 technique in like on obvious passing situations, maybe. But this is a penetration style defensive tackle. This is not a guy where his best traits, he's not terrible against the run, but he's not great. His strengths as a football player are his ability to rush the passer as a defensive tackle. And I think that's something this team still needs more of. Penetration on the interior is it's your biggest instrument of success defensively is penetration on the interior, because it's the quickest path to the quarterback, right? Your defensive ends have to travel like 1.5 more yards, 2 yards than your defensive tackles. That's why the Chris Jones is like invaluable, right? Your what's the name of the guy for the Giants? Dexter or something.
Dexter Lawrence.
Dexter Lawrence, yeah. So those guys are an absolute premium. And I'm not saying TJ Sanders is going to be those guys, but anytime you can generate pressure from the interior of the defensive line, that's your biggest instrument for success, in my opinion, defensively. So I like that pick. I love the athleticism. Sounds like a high character guy. I just think my counterpoint to this was, I just think people need to stop expecting what Brandon Beane isn't going to do. Just a quick Google search can show you his history of defensive tackles. Star Lotulelei, I think, is the biggest one ever.
Right.
And he's small.
Yeah.
for a defensive tackle.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Exactly.
That's where I'm
Yeah.
at. On
I
all
think
that.
I think this just continues to tell us that this Bills defense is going for splash plays, right? Maxwell Hairston, ball hawk extraordinaire. TJ Sanders just causing havoc up the middle, but not necessarily a super stout run defender, right? He's not going to be soaking up double teams like elite. I mean, I'm sure he will. I'm sure that's something that we're going to see him do, but it's not going to be his strength. His strength is like you just said, is getting after the passer. I continue to think that this is what the Bills defense is trying to design themselves to be, is set up a, they're going to let them continue to run. I'm ready to say that we're going to have 5 or 6 games where the other opposing team runs more than 100 yards on us again this year, right? That's going to continue to happen, right? We're going to be, for yards per carry against the Buffalo Bills, we're going to be amongst the top in the league. Against yards per carry against. But I'm willing to bet that they're going to continue to design this defense to batten down the hatches, make you have to suffer your way down the field and just gouge your way and just not going to give up the big plays. I think that's continuing to tell us that that's what the kind of defense they want to have. And TJ Sanders is going to be an awesome part of that. Go ahead, Jake.
My question to that is why? So is that something where the Bills have identified that, and that's the defense that they've built, and want to continue getting players that can feed into that? Or is there a substantive argument that allowing the less threatening plays and going for the big splashy turnovers and things like that is a better way for you to win football games, or a mixture of both? I'm just looking for a little bit of the theory behind it.
Statistically, it's if you can get a splash plays on offense, so any play longer than 15, 20 yards, your likelihood to score that drive goes up astronomically. So I'm pretty sure that Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane and Bobby Babich have designed the Bills defenses of the last few years to avoid that. Make them dink and dunk their way down the fields and have to take these small chunk plays and these run plays up the middle and right, like it continue to just kind of just move the ball slowly down the field, because it's more likely that there's going to be a negative splash play against the offense, and we'll be able to either have a turnover, force a punt, somehow get the ball back, and it's more likely that way. At least that's my opinion. Nige, do you have a thought there?
Yeah, I don't think that you're wrong, Tom, but I'm not sure I agree that would be like, I guess, like the top reason. I think for me, I mean, it's clear that Brandon Beane hasn't been satisfied with the results of the defensive line, right? Like he keeps taking swings, whether it be, he drafted Ed Oliver super high, paid Von Miller all the money. He drafted AJ Epinesa with the first pick that we had that year. That was the year that we didn't have a first round pick because we traded it for Stephon Diggs. He's taken the swings that he can on the defensive line. And I think he continues to be uninspired by the results. And I think that was just further cemented by the fact that we watched Philadelphia win a Super Bowl almost exclusively with their front four defensively.
Yeah.
And I think what we're seeing is the result of him throwing his hands in the air and saying, I'm obviously right, and that this isn't enough and it needs to be more for us to get where we need to go. And here comes the capital to back that up. And I think that's what it is. I don't think it has anything to do with, I think ultimately the Bills are still willing to concede running yards versus passing yards. And I think these draft picks do support that notion in the sense that so far these draft picks, ultimately, these draft picks were made to get after the passer, the quarterback. They weren't made to get after the running back. So I think we're still seeing the results of Brandon Beane just being like, we need more production in terms of sacks. And I think that's what we're seeing here with the investment on the defensive line.
I am just kind of a foil to that statement that we've just kind of been talking about. I am very excited to have both Landon Jackson and Greg Rousseau defending the run, because good fucking luck.
Totally.
right? Yeah, like I think there's other places where the run defense is incredibly
Exactly.
strong, right?
And,
So
and I mean, that's still tough because, like, like if you've got Ed Oliver and TJ Sanders out there and Baltimore just wants to run it up the middle,
they
you
can.
know, they can. Exactly.
roll out
And
the
who's
red bar-
behind him? Who's
carpet,
behind
yeah,
him to stop it? Matt Milano and Terrell Bernard,
yeah,
and then Maxwell Harrison. Like,
yep,
that's
yep.
ugly there.
It'll be
But
interesting, right?
it will be interesting. That is for sure.
Yep. So, good question there, Jake. Did we answer to your satisfaction?
Very, very satisfied. Thank you.
Very good, very
Well,
good.
I'm just here to satisfy you, Jake. So
my next favorite pick outside of those top three is the tight end drafted from Georgia Tech, Jackson Hawes, round 5, number 169 overall. Mostly because boy, I'm sure Joe Brady's so excited to have him run block for him because he's just a road paver. He's not going to provide the Dalton Kincaid spectacular ball catching ability. He's just not. But oh my God, he might be the best pass blocking tight end in the draft. Like I think considered that way at least, right?
Yeah, 100%, dude. He is without question the best blocking tight end in the draft. The dude is a mauler. I mean, he's out there like go watch his tape, dude. It's fun to watch this kid in the running game.
Yeah.
Like he just lives to bully other grown men physically. He's just dude. Mauler is the word that comes to mind. He's a violent blocker.
Yeah, stick him right at the end of the line, right? And have him playing in tight, and like, good luck between him and Dawson. Dawson's a great run blocker as well, right? And I'm sure we're going to continue with the 6 offensive linemen do the jumbo tight end thing.
Yeah, who was our jumbo tight end this last year?
Alec Anderson.
Alec Anderson, that's right. Yeah, but Alec Anderson and Hawes out there, dude. Forget it.
Good luck. Yeah.
Awesome.
So I think that was a fantastic move. It's also a fantastic player for tight end 3, right? That's kind of the player you want. You don't need another Dalton Kincaid there, right?
Right.
You need somebody who's going to give special teams upside and who can come in and do the dirty work. And I think that's exactly who he is. I think that was a fantastic pick and a great value in the 5th round.
Sure. The only thing that bums me out about this is I think this probably signals the end for Q Morris. Did he actually sign anywhere else?
Nope.
Do we know?
He had not signed anywhere, but
this still signals to me that they expect him to, which I mean, I still think he could be like a low end tight end 2 for somebody's team. I can't believe he hasn't.
I think easily.
I can't believe he hasn't been signed yet.
He was probably waiting for the draft to see where the tight ends were taken. Right. I think that
could be.
He probably wanted to make sure he signed someplace where he had an opportunity to make a roster and be a tight end 2, or a really maybe low end tight end 1. But
sure.
I bet that's what he was waiting for. I agree. But you know what? Hey, let's get more young talent in here and a rookie contract, cost controlled for 4 years. Like, I think this was absolutely a great move.
Yeah. 100%, dude. 100%.
Right? As a 5th round pick, he might be paid what Quentin Morris will be paid in 1 year over 4 years.
Yeah. Sure.
Right.
Yeah, dude, you're absolutely right.
So very excited about him. I think we got to touch on him a little bit. Was the 4th round pick Deion Walker, defensive tackle out of Kentucky. Not necessarily the player that I had pegged or hoped that the Bills were picking. I'm hoping, from what I've read and what I've listened to, there's a tale of 2 tapes. His 2024 tape was disappointing. He didn't seem to have the get up and go. He did not seem to always kind of work his way back to the ball. He kind of got pushed around and just was not very effective. What I've watched and what I've read as well, I still have to do more research, but the 2023 was a different story. He was a problem in 2023. Was able to get after the quarterback, cause havoc, get behind the offensive line. And I bet that's what the Bills are hoping that they get out of this kid. He's 21, right? He's a young kid who's giant, 6'7", 330, usually plays closer to 340, 350. So this is the larger size, defensive tackle, just not necessarily the build. He doesn't really have the lower half to really eat and just soak up double teams.
Yeah.
Yet, at least, right? So I think that's the worry. So I painted the positive kind of light, negative, or sorry, Nige. Here's the negative.
Yeah, and I worry about this guy, and what I saw on tape was a dude that was just extraordinarily top heavy, and is not able to anchor himself at all when it comes to the point of attack. I mean, it feels to me like another kind of penetration guy. Like so since 2021 at the one technique position, he's got 6 tackles for loss, which leads the SEC. And for those that may not know, the SEC is considered the most elite tier, if you want to use that term, in college football. And so that's not like a stat to balk at from the one tech position. But man, I saw this dude get pushed around like crazy. Huge up top, dude, like a very strong upper body, but as a lineman, and especially a dude that if you're hoping to if they're hoping to put him at one tech, you've got to be able to anchor at the point of attack. Point of attack being, once that ball is snapped, where you engage with the offensive lineman. And offensive linemen are always going to have the upper hand because they know for sure when the ball is going to be snapped. Defensive linemen are always reacting. So if you can't anchor yourself within a split second, you're cooked. And it's an automatic positive, if it's a running play, automatic positive yards for the offense. So this is a pick that I don't love. I mean, obviously there's a reason that they drafted him, and it has nothing to do with what I know or don't know, because I'm an idiot. But it's not a pick that I'm a fan of at all. I don't see the value in it. But again, dude, anytime I bitch about stuff, I'm always desperately hoping to be proven wrong.
Right. This is a kid that hopefully we see something different in a year or two, and as always, like hopefully we're fucking wrong.
Completely, right. Dude. I'd be so stoked.
Yeah, that'd be awesome to see this kid come in and be a problem, which I think he could be. He's done it on the field. Can he do it in the NFL? That's gonna be the question.
Sure. Yeah. Yep.
So, just kind of like the remaining picks here, we will continue to kind of piece in part and figure out where these guys go on this roster as we go. But just to kind of fill in the spaces here, in the 5th round, Jordan Hancock, cornerback from Ohio State, who is well known for his ability to play the nickel position. So I think this is a very interesting way to just get another body in that room who could be like a Teron Johnson or a Cam Lewis or a guy who can play down and play at the nickel. I think that's important to continue that pipeline, because I think that's an important role in this defense, right? Like I think without that, this defense looks very different and cannot operate the same. So I think continuing to have players who can do that, I think is very important. Feel free to hop in whenever you want, Nige, but I'm just going to keep working my way down.
Yeah, I was just going to say real quick on Jordan Hancock, I think the biggest thing you get there is a little bit of versatility. This is a dude that has played nickel corner. He's played safety for Ohio State. He's moved around a lot in the secondary. So this projects as, and he's another great athlete. So I think this probably projects maybe potentially as like a chess piece backup, like can go possibly at multiple spots. Like maybe he backs up Taylor Rapp. Maybe he's also the first backup in for Taron Johnson. Who knows? But just a dude that's played various positions in the secondary at a notable program.
Very Cam Lewis-y, who Cam also does that quite a bit. He's started at safety and he's started at cornerback and he started at nickel. So he's done all of that.
Which is so valuable to have.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with a kind of a depth player like him, like you kind of will fit into.
Sure.
Round 6, number 177 overall, Dorian Strong, cornerback out of Virginia Tech. Really great to see that Bean was ready and willing just to continue to throw darts to fill this need. I think that was awesome. I don't know much about this kid yet, so I'm interested to kind of learn more. But I think the fact that we were continuing to kind of make efforts there, I think is important. Round 6, that.
Real quick, just on Dorian Strong, man. I mean, what happened the last time we drafted a cornerback in the 1st and 6th round? First one didn't work out, but the 6th round guy is a top 5 cornerback in the league. So I do one more thing on Dorian Strong, dude. His best feature as a CB comes from in like press coverage, so press man coverage, meaning very, very close to the wide receiver, being able to get a hand on them to throw off the timing of the route and stuff like that. which kind of to me signals similar to Maxwell Harrison. And we didn't touch on this, and I meant to, and I forgot a potential shift in the way that, this Bills defense may be looking to play, dude. Like, these are both guys that have more success, not necessarily more for Maxwell Harrison, but definitely more for this fellow that we're talking about, Dorian Strong. Man coverage, something they can do. Christian Benford, man coverage, something he can do. And I'm not saying over the course of one season we're going to see the Bills become like the number one man coverage team in the NFL, but I think a significant jump in that number is starting to be something that we can expect to see based on the personnel that they're adding to this defense.
Which could really help us in those moments when we are playing quarterbacks like a Patrick Mahomes, who is incredible at getting the ball out of his hands and put it in where he needs to put it, right? If we can and quickly, right? If we can, the best way to limit that is to play man coverage and make it delay the ball leaving the quarterback's hand by even a fraction of a second. Let's our D-line, who has not been able to affect Patrick Mahomes, buys them an extra second or two and just adds more chaos and hopefully gives us another tool in our tool belt of how we can approach these quarterbacks. Yep. Who are problems like the Joe Burrows and the Patrick Mahomes of the world, who could dice up any defense they want because of just their abilities and their brain. Like, I'm glad to see that at least something different is being attempted here, right? We're not just continuing to try the same damn thing that has gotten to the same damn place, meaning exiting the playoffs, playing the games of the year.
Exactly. Yep. 100%.
The final two picks were at tackle and wide receiver. Tackle Chase Lunt is a really interesting guy. He's got a very interesting frame, incredibly short arms. I think 0 percentile in arm length.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So, which is, I'm not sure how he plays tackle, to be honest with you. So it'll be interesting to see how he fits in. This is an incredible offensive line room. Like we were talking even before the draft. If we draft anybody, do they make the team?
Yeah, and
where do they fit in? Right?
I don't see. Yeah, I mean, the only thing that Chase Lunt I think has going for him over some of the other guys is his ability to be a swing tackle. Yep. He plays both sides, left and right. So that could be the only thing. But yeah, dude, tough year to be an offensive lineman drafted by the Bills with the way this room is laid out right now. But once again, we have to address some elephants in the room, and the fact that we've got two guys on expiring contracts in Connor McGovern and David Edwards, and a right guard that could cost, as much as King Midas's silver. So
yeah, we're going to need somebody.
We're going to need bodies, maybe.
Yeah. And you offensive line and defensive line are just spots you always throw darts. You just always do. If you're an NFL team, you need them. Like this game,
especially if they're toolsy.
Yeah. So, and I don't know if anybody caught the WGR clip of Brandon Beane just going scorched earth on those poor radio show hosts.
Let's talk about this.
Because Jake, did you see this? Please. Did you see this?
I did see this. I loved it.
I listened to it and I thought it was AI. I thought it was this is no way that this is Brandon Beane. But the guy had opinions and he was sick of hearing them. And unfortunately, Jeremy White was the poor radio show host who was in the way at the time. He made it very clear that he did not think that the Bills offense had anything to really fix, which I think he has a fair point, right? I think he has a fair point. But Nige, go ahead, take a swing here.
Yeah, dude. So I mean, I think everyone was super surprised because we've never seen a Brandon Beane full of piss and vinegar, right? Yeah. And he was definitely salty in that interview. That being said, dude, I already feel like it is blown so far out of proportion, dude. And I tweeted this last night. I think the dude, like, I recognize, I understand. As an NFL GM, it comes with the territory to be ridiculed constantly, all the time by everybody, right? It's very easy for us to sit here and be armchair GMs. And I think it's an unfair expectation that, as human beings, which all general managers are, they're just always expected to be perfect and be deaf and deflect that stuff, right? And I think what we saw was maybe a dude that, there was a chink in the armor for a moment, and he caved a little bit, and he was just a human being. And I think as somebody that is in charge of putting this team together, right, or at least the main person in charge of putting this team together, when your offense scores more points than anybody else over the course of the season, and people still bitch about points being scored, you've got to throw your hands in the air and say, what the fuck do you possibly want me to do?
Yeah.
And I think that's basically what we saw. And
Yeah.
dude, there was not a single thing that Brandon Beane said that was factually untrue.
Right.
So I mean, like, people can be like, oh yeah, overreaction, blah. He's a human being, dude. He gets a pass from me for sure. Because I don't blame him one bit, dude. I don't know how you can watch this Bills team last year. And again, I'll bring up the past Super Bowl. I don't know how you can watch those two things and give a single fuck about the offense and not just want to dump all your resources into the defense. I know that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
I think it's mind-boggling that people are still pissed off that we didn't get a wide receiver, and everyone was clamoring for a field stretcher when Josh Allen's downfield throwing numbers aren't that fucking great to begin with. So, sorry to address the other ugly elephant in the room. Nobody likes to criticize Josh Allen. He doesn't throw down the field that well. So why are we gunning for that player when it's not what we do best as a team and something that we have proven we don't really need that bad? Rant over.
It's a good rant. It's a good rant.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Golf clap from me. Yeah.
Thank you.
And
Thank
he
you.
acknowledged it. He was like, "You guys got to bitch about something, so you might as well bitch about that."
Right.
Right,
Yeah. And
right.
yeah, he totally
He's
was like, I
right.
get it.
If I was those radio guys, I'd just be like, "Yeah, you're right." Anyways, on to the wide receiver problem.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that radio show host must have been just licking his lips. He's like, yes. Thank you.
Dude. Oh my God.
Oh,
Which
you're just like
I
giving
am-
the golden ticket, you know?
I am not a big Jeremy White fan, dude. I think he's a little bit of an asshole.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, he must have been like, oh my God, please drop an F-bomb or something, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
come on, baby. Come on, baby. It was the
Yeah.
Monday after the draft. The Brandon Beane probably didn't have a lick of sleep all week.
oh my
right?
God, dude.
And
Yeah,
he's-
that's the other part of it, dude. He's probably absolutely fucking
He's
exhausted.
on his 18th cup of coffee, right?
Yeah,
like he's,
sure.
you know, and he's probably hasn't left the office. He hasn't seen his poor wife in 3 days, and he's probably just like, all right, you know, I'm fucking sick of it. We scored more points than anybody. What else do you want from me? And we still have Josh Allen.
100%, dude.
Plus, they added
100%.
Joshua Palmer to that wide receiver room. I think he's a bigger plus than
Yes.
anybody isn't thinking about. I
Than
think
anybody
going
we
to
could
be
have drafted.
tremendous. I think I think he's gonna be fantastic. So
That's the other thing people need to remember, dude, is like people were like, oh my God, I can't believe we didn't pick Jalen Royal at 30, dude. Like, you're not gonna pick a Jalen Royal at 30 when you've got Hairston and Trey Amos and way bigger, infinitely bigger position needs at pick 30. It's just fans being unintelligent, dude.
Flip the question too. What ask people that are bitching about that. What player, what type of player would make you happy? Like, is that person only satisfied if Brandon Beane goes out and gets Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson? Probably. Like, that's what they're
Probably.
looking for.
Yeah.
And it's just not realistic. You're not fitting that into your cap. You're not fitting that in with the assets you need to move that. You're not
Or
getting
your
that
culture.
player at pick 30. Yeah, exactly. So it's nonsense. I don't know. I don't blame Brandon Beane for not giving it the time of day.
yeah,
Me neither.
yeah. So good to see.
I liked a little bit of saltiness from him, dude.
Yeah,
I like a little bit. You want to know what that tells me? Because I think, you know, it's like when I see Sean McDermott get really fired up, dude. Like, I get fired up.
Yeah.
Like, it's nice to know that the guys in charge have a little bit of like a little bit of fuck you to them.
Yeah,
I like that. I don't know how you can be a top tier competitor and not have a little bit of that like fuck you mentality.
right. Yeah, like and we are better than you. We are better than you. We have done more than you, and we're not going anywhere.
So
Legs
yeah,
to stand on. Yeah, I mean they've had success with building this team.
Yeah, I like a little bit of fire from the. Yeah, I know he's not on the field, dude, but I like a little bit of that from the guy pulling
Yeah,
most of the strings.
Yeah. Talk your shit, Brandon. Talk your shit, buddy.
Agreed.
So it's gonna be a lot of fun to kind of pick apart and can learn about these kids, right? There's a lot to learn here and kind of continue to look at. So
Yeah.
the next 2 weeks we're actually gonna take a look at, hey, what does this side of the roster look like? What does this side of the roster look like? What kind of different situations can happen and all that kind of stuff. So we'll continue to piece this apart. But I'm really excited to hear because I want to learn about this the NHL playoffs, which the Sabres are absolutely nowhere even spitting distance of, but it's still fun to have playoffs, right? And the NHL playoffs are some of the most exciting sports moments ever. So Jake, can you kind of lay the land for us? Where are we at in this first series, and what should we be looking forward to?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I've been watching a lot of hockey lately. So first round started. Most series are around game 5. So Nigel, I'll leave it up to you. We can dive into the series a little bit and talk about what we've seen, or we can kind of do a way too late playoff bracket. Do you have a steer on either direction?
A late playoff. Well, most of the series are still pretty close right now, so I guess it wouldn't be too much of a cherry pick, but. Let's take more of a broad sweep right now. I was doing a bracket feels cheesy right now. Now that we're almost halfway done with the first round for most of these series.
That's super fair. And I hand to my heart, the series that are not very close are all in the East, and the teams that are up, I would 100% have picked to win anyways. And then the teams in the West, it's a toss up as it is. So. I get it. It is way too late. But let's talk about it a little bit. So I think something that's been interesting. We've kind of seen this develop over the past couple seasons, but it's picture perfect right now. Prior to Colorado and Dallas playing last night, all 4 of the series in the West were tied up 2 games apiece out of a best of 7 series. In the East, each series is a 3-1 lead for one of the teams. So there's a big disparity in how competitive the East is compared to the West to me.
Yeah.
I think we've seen some of the teams that snuck into the playoffs in the East getting outclassed a bit.
For sure.
Any of those series you, dude? I know you said you watched Toronto, Ottawa a bit, and
Toronto, Ottawa. They look. I mean, so okay. Here's where I land on that whole series right now. Toronto has been in the playoffs. I mean, how many years have they been in the playoffs now in a row? It's several. It's a lot, right?
7, 8, something like that.
Yeah, this is Ottawa's first one in a long fucking time. So and I'm someone that is of the belief, Jake. I don't know if you land on this with me. I am someone that is of the belief that playoff experience on a team does matter. Like I think if even when the Sabres do make the playoffs. It'll probably be a first round exit situation because that group of players won't have played in the playoffs and experienced what that's like together. That being said, dude, to Ottawa's credit, and I can't stress enough, I fucking hate both these teams, which almost makes it easy to kind of, acknowledge one's, what I would call success. And I doubt that Ottawa fans would agree with this. But dude, for Toronto to be in the playoffs for as long as they have now, they should be wiping the floor with Ottawa. And Ottawa took them to 3 overtime games in a row. Unfortunately for Ottawa, they lost 2 of those. So that series is technically 3-1 right now. But dude, I mean, Ottawa's been right there with Toronto the whole fucking time. If you're a Toronto fan, I don't know how you're watching that series and being like this. It's like, you got to be shitting your pants, dude. Because you're like, how is this happening like this? This series could easily be tied right now.
It could be. I that is funny. I do have a slightly different view. I don't disagree with you. I think it's a mark of success for Ottawa that they've been able to push 3 of these last 3 games to overtime. But I think this is the first time ever since this streak of Toronto making the playoffs in a row, after the rebuild with Austin Matthews. It's the first time ever since then that Toronto has looked like the more experienced team. That
and they
looks
do.
Like they have the playoff know-how. And they do. And you're not winning playoff games 7-3 every night. So yes, it's a success for Ottawa to push it to OT. But they weren't the ones that put it home,
No,
and that's
right.
that's a success. That's a mark of success in the playoffs. It feels it feels believable to me that Toronto is coming out on top in those games. It doesn't feel like they hung on to overtime and then snuck out with a fluke goal. Like I do think that they're more prepared than they have been in the past since this era of the Big Four began.
I agree with you completely. I should have been more careful in the way I phrased everything, because according to the eye test, they could be winning these games 7-2 from what I'm seeing visually. But I do still think, the most recent game that I watched, the one day before yesterday, that Ottawa finally won.
Mm-hmm.
I was really impressed by what I saw from an Ottawa team. And, Ottawa's got, guys like Claude Giroux. Like, it's not like there's no experience on that team, but like Jake Sanderson was the one that won the game for them.
Yeah.
And he's like a baby defenseman for them. So I don't know. I think if you're an Ottawa fan, you're probably like, fuck, we're down 3-1. But I do think there's a lot of positive to be taken away there for sure.
Yeah.
But the eye test, you're right. Toronto, they're crushing the eye test for the first time in forever for them in the first round.
I can be talked very easily into a scenario where this series goes back to Ottawa and potentially goes back to Toronto for a game 7.
They play tonight, right?
Love it. They do. Yeah, they play tonight. I was expecting a tighter series, so I would love to see this one extended a little bit.
I'll say this. If Ottawa wins tonight, and today's Tuesday the 29th, right? If Ottawa wins tonight, dude, they're going to win the series. I would put $10 down on that if they win tonight.
Ooh. I could see it.
I'm working now, so I'm okay to gamble again.
Ullmark has not been dominant, I would say. I think he's made some saves where he needs to against a really an offense with a lot of firepower. But if he starts feeling himself and getting hot, I could get right behind you on that bet. Yeah.
I just think once you go up 3 games and you don't close it out in that 4th game, dude, I think it's a recipe for disaster. Sorry, I cut you off there.
No, you're fine. I was ready to bounce to other series because other 3-1 series in the East, Carolina, New Jersey. I think Carolina closes it out tonight. New Jersey's neutered without Jack Hughes, and Carolina's a buzzsaw. So I think they close out. This would be I think it's like their 8th year in a row of winning at least one playoff series, which is it's kind of the anti-Toronto.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I don't know about you. The other 2 series in the East here. Let's start with Washington and Montreal. I think Washington has. I thought there was a chance Montreal would hang around, and they have. I think they looked good, really good in games 3 and 4 in Montreal. But I think Washington puts it home. They've been just too dominant this year and too much inexperience, like you just talked about on Montreal.
And I think this, because dude, the veterans that are there for Washington, you've got Ovi, you've got John Carlson, right? Like those 2 guys right there, dude. I'm not sure you could piece together like 2 better leaders, right? So, and I don't know, like, does Montreal have anybody that would be like in that tier of leadership? Like, I can't think of anybody.
Not yet. I think they're such a young team. It's
they are. Like,
right
I think
now,
like Suzuki drives that bus. I think Nick Suzuki, right? Is that fair to say?
For sure, for sure.
So, and he's dude. He's not the experienced leader that Ovi and John Carlson are. So, I think in this series in particular, you're seeing the experience thing rear its head more so than almost any other series.
Yeah, absolutely. And then this final series in the East before we move to the West, Florida and Tampa Bay, the Battle of Florida. This has been, I think, my favorite series to watch out of all 8 so far.
This one's always a trip, dude.
This one, this before the playoff season started, this was circled. This one and Dallas, Colorado. I'm like, these matchups could easily be the Western and Eastern Conference Finals, respectively, and I wouldn't bat an eye. Florida came out hot in Game 1 and dominated Tampa, but Tampa's hung around in the other games. But end of the day, they're down 3-1 right now. I don't like their odds, man. The people before the playoffs were talking about, the Panthers are banged up. Have they played too much hockey lately? I wasn't buying it, man. This team just has a different gear that they hit once April comes around, and they look every part of it. It's just they wear you down. They're like right on the edge.
That's it right there. They wear you down, dude. This Florida Panthers team just beats the piss out of you, dude. They beat the life out of you.
But they only hit players with the puck.
Right, right,
I don't know
right,
if you saw
right.
that.
Of course.
I don't know
Of
if you saw
course.
those quotes from Paul Murray. He's flying around. But that's the stuff too. It's been so much drama off the ice, as
Yeah.
well as on the ice. It's just it's an exciting. Anyone that wants to get into a hockey game, watch a Florida Panthers and Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah,
game
it's
series.
violent is the word that comes to mind, dude. That Battle of Florida series is always a doozy. And dude, this is part of the reason that I'm clamoring for Ottawa to come back, because how fun would it be to watch the Kachuk brothers in the semis against one another?
beat the shit out of each other. Yeah,
Dude, it'd be unbelievable. It'd be unbelievable. That'd be a
it
time.
would be.
It'd be like Jack and Dan in like a competitive sporting against one another.
Please, yeah, give me the
Yeah.
popcorn.
Right.
Sign me up for that. Nigel, let's move to the West.
Let
These
us.
matchups all more tightly matched. All of them are 2-2, except for Dallas went up 3-2 against Colorado last night. Which series do you want to start with? Anything that pique your interest a little bit more?
Dude, there's two big storylines for me, and they're both sizable, and I'll start with the one that I still think to me is slightly less important, but it's still huge, and that is the return of Gabe Landeskog for Colorado. Him scoring a goal in this most recent game, dude. I mean, what a just incredible story. So for those that don't know, Gabe Landeskog, what was his issue, Jake? I don't even actually remember what it was.
It had to do with his knee. He had some really serious knee issues. Had
Yeah.
a bunch of surgeries to correct. He last played an NHL game 3 years ago.
Yeah. So he's been away from the game for a couple of years, came back recently, did a conditioning stint for Colorado's AHL affiliate. So like, and for those that might not know, Gabriel Landeskog is considered a top tier center. He's a very, very good player. He's been the captain for the Avs for 100 years. And so him not being around was a big deal. His return, an even bigger deal. And it just, it's what a boost for the morale on the team when not only he comes back, but he scored his first game back, which, I mean, the highlight is unbelievable. The roof absolutely blew off that place. Like just a really cool moment for the sport and for that Colorado Avalanche team. So I wanted to make sure I mentioned that, and good for Gabe. He seems to be in a good place mentally, which, I mean, after, everything he went through is all you can ask for the guy. He's already made more money than God. He doesn't need any more money, but hockey players are just wired differently, dude. And I think for him to come back and be a positive contributing member is a huge deal. Anything on that, Chick?
This series is going 7. I don't see any world that Colorado doesn't push a game 7, and I think that's going to be a cinematic game 7.
Yeah.
The only reason, I mean, not the only, one of the reasons they lost last night, 2 really fluky goals from Dallas in the first period. I don't know if you caught either of those, but just weird plays.
Mm-hmm.
And Colorado kept it competitive despite the 6-2 score. But just Colorado is a team that it feels like they can just go on a run. It doesn't feel like they could just score in bunches against you, and they're a dangerous team, dude. But I think the biggest storyline, if Colorado ends up losing the series, will be Cale Makar. He's looked bad, and his numbers have been worse. A lot would fall on him. It's certainly not Nathan McKinnon, man. He's stepped up every time. He's playoff
incredible.
Competitor.
He's incredible.
So I don't know who's going to win that series, but I can tell you it's not going to end in game 6.
No, I would imagine it's going to go 7. That would be my guess as well, for sure.
The one that surprises me in the West, dude, I'm shocked.
Wait, let me guess.
Yeah.
Minnesota, Vegas?
Nope.
Okay. That was the one that surprised me. Go ahead. Continue. Jake's having technical difficulties with his cords.
Still time.
I got it. So honestly, dude, I was gonna go, and this isn't a surprise. I can't get enough watching Connor McDavid, dude. I want Edmonton to win their Stanley Cup so bad because I want Connor McDavid to win a Stanley Cup, dude. He is, I mean, and don't get me wrong, dude. LA looks awesome. They look like the more complete team than Edmonton to me. Connor might just do it his damn self, dude. I mean, he legitimately has a gear. When he shifts into that gear, dude, nobody can even compete with him. Like he has a switch flips where he just gets like so angry or so competitive or so I'm fucking done with this.
Yeah,
That he just
fuck you
takes
guys. I'm doing it myself.
he takes games over, dude. And truly, like, I wish hockey was a more high profile sport, dude, because like what we're watching from Connor McDavid is miles above the dominance that we see from like a Patrick Mahomes in the NFL. It is not even close what this guy decides to do or what this guy can do when he decides to just say, fuck it, I'm going scorched earth. And LA can do nothing about it, dude. I'm watching Drew Doughty and Anze Kopitar look lost against this kid. I mean, and for those that may not know, Drew Doughty, one of the best defensemen of the last 10, 15 years. Anze Kopitar, aside from Patrice Bergeron, probably the best two-way center the league has seen in the same stretch of time. And these two guys look just baffled by Connor McDavid. And it is it feels like a gift to watch, dude. Like I was watching their most recent game the other night. I was like, I can't believe that I'm blessed enough that I get to watch Connor McDavid play hockey in his prime. It is the most dominant thing I've ever witnessed in sports before.
He is that good. Yeah, it's another level. He does. If there was a league above the NHL, he'd be a star in it.
And he'd be by himself.
Yep. Yeah.
It's just astounding and such a pleasure.
That's where I was going, though, is I'm shocked that series is tied 2-2 because they have been badly outplayed by LA. LA has been dominant in the first and second periods. The only reason Edmonton is still in it at all and tied 2-2 is third period heroics from McDavid and Bush and
Draisaitl.
Yeah, the three of them. So I'm never going to count out a team with Connor McDavid for the reasons that you waxed poetically about. But I think this might be the year LA sends them home instead.
Oh, God, I hope not, dude. I hope not. But if the eye test is real, LA deserves to win it. But watching Connor McDavid play hockey is just such a gift, dude. It's astounding.
Agreed. We got to get out of here, but tight series with Winnipeg and St. Louis and Vegas and Minnesota too. Those series have been really fun to watch. Before we do, one last thing. Give me a team from the East who's coming out and a team from the West and who's winning the cup, and I'll do the same.
From the East, I really like Carolina this year. I know I feel like I say that every year about Carolina, but I think their time is coming. I just think the team is too deep, too good, too aggressive, too well coached. I think their time is coming. From the West, dude, I have a really sneaky, weird feeling about St. Louis. I don't know why, but they look really good right now. I mean, they beat the shit out of Winnipeg that most recent game, dude.
Yeah, handled them.
Yeah, and Winnipeg was, I mean, I think the best team in the league this season, aside from Washington. So
Binnington's done it before. I mean, a pretty similar story to when they won the cup back in 2019 or something like that. I cannot count out the Panthers. They're my pick from the East still. I know they've played a lot of hockey. I know they had some injury issues and they're playing a dogged team into Tampa Bay, but I'm not betting against them against any of these teams from the East.
Sure.
I think a Carolina, Florida Eastern Conference Finals would be incredible, but that's my pick still. Until they prove me wrong, I can't bet against them.
And then,
dude, I think the West, like it's way more competitive, but I think that makes it more wide open even because you just don't know who you're gonna run up against and who's hot. I don't mind St. Louis. My hesitation there is that if they get through Winnipeg, then they get the winner of Dallas, Colorado.
Which
I still think that's a Stanley Cup playoff, like Stanley Cup final caliber matchup in the first round.
Sure.
I'm really I'm going to pick Dallas. I think if they can get through Colorado and get Miro Heiskanen back, I think they're going to be a really, really tough team to shake. I think those are my two. I will definitely be wrong on both, and that's the way the Stanley Cup playoffs work, dude.
Yep. Me too.
Tom, any thoughts? Do you want to pick one?
Don't say the Sabres, Tom.
Yeah, can't say them. Can't say them. But you know what? You can say that we'll be back next week. We will see you guys right here, same spot, same time. We love you all, and hey, go Bills, go Sabres. Thank you all from the bottom of our hearts for spending some time with us. Please give us a like and a follow on Instagram, X, TikTok, and our YouTube channel at Let's Go Buff Pod. These are my pals, Jake and Nigel. My name is Tom, and you're listening to the Let's Go Buffalo podcast. We're sending you love wherever you are. Go Bills, go Sabres, let's go Buffalo.